It's betting time! Hello, everybody. I'm Lawrence Presman. We got a great show lined up today. It's college football, and we're going to be discussing a lot of it. Marco D'Angelo is joining us right off the bat. He's going to be looking at UTEP at Nebraska. Nebraska's a big favorite of minus 27.5. I wonder how we bet this game. We're going to find that out. Notre Dame and Texas A&M, minus 3 for Texas A&M. We'll find out how to bet that game for Marco as well. Teddy Covers, by the way, is my co-host. He's looking at me right now like, get on with it, Prez. There it is. There he is. Get on with it, Prez. Well, Ralph Michaels, Teddy. Ralph Michaels is coming on. He's going to look at the Penn State prop and a chart and a whole bunch of other stuff. And we're going to end the show with Dave Mason from BetOnline. Theodore, my brother, what is your big game breakdown, and how pumped are you that we are literally at the cusp of a whole ton of pigskin?
So my big game breakdown, we'll talk NFL opening night, Kansas City and Baltimore. I'll break that down. That is a client play you'll get right here for free on WagerTalk Today. How pumped am I? Look, for me, football season starts with the Hall of Fame game. So I'm already excited. I'm not getting more excited because tonight there's a couple of more games. That being said, it's here, you know? I mean, all the prep, all the thought, I can't wait for football season to get here. Well, guess what? It's here. It's now. Let's get you ready for it.
That is the case. We got a big slate of games going tonight. I have one bet for my clients going. It's my first CFB total of the season. Marco D'Angelo, let's go, brother. So, Marco, I know you get your hair cut a lot, and I went and got mine cut yesterday. And I was sitting in the chair, and I had some dirty thoughts. And I was trying to figure out whether it would be a better business idea to have hair cutting in a strip joint or topless hair cutting. So I'm curious what your thoughts are there.
It's been there, done that. You're late to the party, Prez. There's been several variations of that around the country with other businesses as well. Vegas, we had a drive-through coffee place where the baristas wore lingerie, and they would, ask you one pump or two on your hazelnut latte. And, it was fun, but you're late to the party. And I don't think any of them have been
successful. Okay, let's get into it, man. UTEP at Nebraska. Nebraska minus 27.5. Where are you going in this game? And then get ready for some mean, aggressive Teddy follow-ups.
Oh, I can't wait for Teddy follow-ups. And this one, guys, generally I'm not a big chalk eater, but this is one time where I am going to drink the Kool-Aid of the Nebraska Cornhuskers. This is a team that I think they got it right heading into this season. Matt Rule, he is entering year 2. We know the history of him in college football programs. NFL didn't work out so well, but college football, year 2, when he was at Temple, he turned a 2-win team into a 6-6 team. Year 2 at Baylor, he turned a 1-win team, 1-11, into a 7-6 team year 2. And he is bringing back a loaded team. Their problem last year was the quarterback position, which has been the problem for several years now at Nebraska. They named Dylan Raiola as the starting quarterback. He caught the attention of the coaching staff all the way back in spring ball when he lit it up in that game, and he won the starting job. This is a team that if you go back and look at Nebraska, as inept as the offense was last year, this defense was stout. Only 2 teams scored more than 24 points on this Nebraska team last year. And those 2 teams were Michigan the national champion in Colorado, who we know threw the football all over the place last year. You figure how many extra plays per game that defense was on the field because the offense couldn't get anything sustained going. This is a team that finished 5-7 last year. They lost their final 4 games. They lost those final 4 games by a grand total of 16 points because they couldn't score any. They got an offense that will be able to score. They're going against the team, Texas El Paso, that is coming back with not a lot in the cupboard from the previous year. Got a new coaching staff, going to be growing pains there. And the one thing I like about if I'm going to lay a big number in a game, I got to have 2 things. One, I got to have a good defense, and I've already talked up the Nebraska defense. The second part of the equation is when you're laying big number and you're winning big in the second half and you're trying to run out the clock, I want a team that can run the football and can run it well. And we know Nebraska can do that. This is a team that whenever they're trying to kill clock will actually have the opportunity to add to the score because they're doing what they do well. Whereas a team that's a passing team trying to kill clock, that usually backfires. I've got Nebraska rolling. I don't know how UTEP scores in this game, but I got Nebraska 41-6.
So looking at Nebraska's track record, and if we do this, we'll never get to the river. We'll never get to the window with Nebraska. But they haven't even won a game by this point spread since 2001, or since 2021, I should say. So it's been like 3 years of football since this team has won by this kind of margin. I understand we want to be proactive rather than reactive, but on a confidence level, haven't we heard this about Nebraska? Oh, this is the year. Oh, yeah, we can lay with them here. And yet, here they are laying a point spread where they haven't won a game by this margin. Shouldn't we watch them win one before we start betting them?
Yeah, so I'm going to jump in here, Marco. Yesterday I mentioned the Carolina Panthers and what they did last year and whether we should look at that. Teddy bitched me out. You are looking at last year's records to make an assessment for this coming year? And yet the very next day, he does the exact same thing. Marco, go ahead.
So there's all kinds of nuance difference.
Your
discussion of Carolina and my discussion of Nebraska.
The nuance.
All kinds of nuance difference there. And your analysis of what. But it's also a very different scenario because we're talking about laying 4 touchdowns here. Marco, your response, please.
My response is actually I am going to agree with Prez about it. This is a team that from year to year in college football, especially now with the new landscape, what happened in the past I'm not looking at. This is only the second year for Matt Rule. We know the success he has. And given what you just said about them, if he's got a lead, he is not taking his foot off the gas. He wants to instill confidence in this team and get those offensive numbers up. And Teddy, I know that this is going to be a bold statement. I really do believe, looking at their schedule and looking at this roster for Nebraska, that they have a legitimate shot when they head to Ohio State on the last weekend in October, that they could be undefeated heading into that game. That's how much I like this team. And this is pure and simple. The opening week of the season, this is a $1.6 million beatdown for Texas El Paso. They're here for the paycheck. That's all it is.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Marco D'Angelo joining us, everyone. Exclusive handicapper at WagerTalk.com. Also the co-founder of that incredible company. At 10-year anniversary last week, Marco. You and I have been partners for 10 years. You must be 20 years richer.
I'm sure that most people would have bet the under on anybody surviving 10 years in anything with you, Prez.
So real quick.
I love you, buddy.
I love you too. Guys, hit that like button, please. Do us a favor. Only 23% of you have hit that like button. It makes no sense to me. But real quick, Teddy, I don't know if you know this story, but Marco and I decided to start Wager Talk. Marco's like, I'm going to go get Brian Leonard. He's going to be like the first handicapper again. He calls Brian on the phone. He's like, Bri, I've started a new company with a Canadian guy. We want you to join.
Yeah, you told the story.
Yeah. Bri was like,
many times.
Anybody but Prez.
Yeah.
Marco.
What's the population of Canada?
33 million or something, give or take. I don't know anymore. At the time, probably 33 million. Anyway, less than California. Texas A&M playing Notre Dame, and we've seen a lot of money come in on Texas A&M all throughout the summer. They were a pick'em at one point. They're now -3. The Westgate, we had Art DeCesar up yesterday. The Westgate is holding firm at 2.5. And they do feel like there will be money coming in on Notre Dame late. Where are you going in this game?
I agree that there will be money show on Notre Dame late because Notre Dame is one of those, and I know it drives Teddy crazy when I say it, one of those public teams in the market that people like to bet, but they do. And if you can get Notre Dame as an underdog, a lot of people will blindly bet Notre Dame. But I'm looking at this one, Texas A&M. We talk about teams in college football that have had problems offensively, defensively, whatever, can't seem to find the right mix. The problem for Texas A&M has been they've had problems deciding on a head coach that can get the job done. The Jimbo Fisher experiment, another failure for Texas A&M. So in comes head coach Mike Elko. He comes in here from Duke. He did a great job at Duke being there. They were a very opportunistic defense, a lot of takeaways. A lot of people, you can look at takeaways as, a luck factor or a production of hard work and scheming, whichever way you want to do it. They did it well. But there's a nice wrinkle to this game. Notre Dame's new quarterback is Riley Leonard. Not to be confused with Brian Leonard, thank God, but Riley Leonard is the quarterback for Notre Dame. Ironically, he was Mike Elko's quarterback at Duke. So if you are a defensive-minded coach and you're going against your former quarterback, I think he's going to have a leg up on the defensive schemes of what to take away, the strengths and weaknesses of the quarterback for Notre Dame. I like this Texas A&M team. They bring back a lot in production. They're ranked 38th overall in returning production. And this is a spot where you've got a new head coach. You've got excitement. Texas A&M is a tough home field. I like them. I know that we could have had better value earlier in the summer if we would have jumped on Texas A&M. But at a field goal, to me, when you're 3 points or less, I'm still handicapping the game as just pick the winner. And to me, that winner is Texas A&M. I think it will be a lower scoring game, but I've got Texas A&M winning by a touchdown.
Yeah, let's talk about that week one, because week one is so unique in both college football and the NFL because the lines have been up all summer. So getting the best of the number, unless you were betting in June and July, which the sharp guys do, but not your casual bettor does, you're never going to get the best of the number week one. You do the best you can with the numbers that you have. Talk to me about specifically week one and how you deal with the line moves over the summer, sometimes getting the worst of it. Do you sometimes get the best of it as well?
You do. And you know what? And there's a good friend, and the next guy coming up, Ralph, can attest to it. There's a guy in town here, Brad Powers. A lot of respect for him. This guy beats when they put up what they used to call the college games of the year, they put lines up for the whole season in the summertime. He would get the best of the number all the time, it would seem. And ask him, there's several years where he would have 5, 6, 7 points, the better of the number, and it still didn't matter. The game didn't cover. A lot of these coaches haven't even announced their starting quarterback. The game I just did before, Nebraska, they didn't announce the quarterback who was going to be starting until just a few days ago. So you know what? I've always been a guy that I handicap the number where it is when I release it. And if I still feel there's value, the fact that I missed a number, I'm not going to let a winner go by because I could have had a better number if I still feel there's value. And to me, I still feel there is value in Texas A&M. I hate guys that say, oh, I can't play that. I missed a point of value. I would rather lose a point and cash a ticket than to say, I missed a number and not have the winning ticket in my pocket.
Marco, that is a great topic, and one we can't discuss because we're out of time. But it's amazing. I have like all these handicappers in my head when we go out for dinner. Oh, you missed the number. I mean, we could go on for an hour on that topic. Outstanding stuff today, brother. And also, way to go on your constant winning. I was talking to Teddy off air about this a few days ago. You've just been out. I was, Teddy. I literally. Okay, Marco, what do you have to promote?
My friend?
All right, I've got my first college football play of the 2024 season tonight. I am in action on the North Carolina-Minnesota game tonight. You can get that play. I didn't play anything last weekend. I don't play just because there's games. I got to feel that I do have an edge, and I have one, I think, in tonight's game. We had 4 plays in the preseason football. We went 3-1. You guys know that 2024 has been a good year, as Prez just said. But don't buy the game tonight for $25, okay? Look at that 2-week special. Not only for me, anybody at WagerTalk right now. You can buy 2 weeks and you get a 3rd week free. What's that come out to? You're going to get 21 days of all access. That's not just football. That's football, baseball, me, WNBA as well. We're the #1 handicapper at WagerTalk in the WNBA this season. You'll get all of my plays, 21 days, $198. Do the math real quick. That's less than $10 a day. Not only for me, any capper at WagerTalk right now.
There we go. Marco D'Angelo. Teddy, honestly, I'm ready to murder you. I just want to get that out there. If you people read the shit that Teddy gives me in Slack. Okay. What did Bettors learn last night?
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about college football conceptually and betting in 24 conceptually to open the season. All right. For me, it's not about players specifically. It's not about coaches specifically. It's about a team and how that team is priced in the markets. And of course, what kind of spot that team is in this week. That's largely irrelevant in week 1. Ralph's going to talk some nuances about spots in week 1, but the reality is that look-ahead spots, teams don't look ahead that much in week 1. They like getting that win. So you don't get a lot of spot plays. You don't really get any spot plays in week 1. But your team and how that team is priced can absolutely give you plays in week 1. And we talk about what I'm looking for in the college football betting landscape. I want bad teams I can fade again and again. I want teams that are priced like they're mediocre but are actually good, or teams that are priced good but are actually mediocre, and all the nuances that follow from those concepts. You want to fade elite teams that are only good. They're not elite. You want to bet on mediocre teams that are priced like they're bad, but they're really mediocre. There's lots of week 1 opinions about how much better or worse teams have gotten since the end of last season. This is my 27th college football season in Las Vegas, and I've learned this much. There's 130-something teams, and 110 of them are probably pretty close to where they were last year. Power rated, certainly less than a touchdown, maybe less than 5 points difference from where they were a year ago. And maybe not where they were at the end of the season, but if you look at an aggregate power rating for where they were throughout the course of the season, 110 teams within 5 points of that aggregate power rating. You probably have 10 or a dozen that are probably a TD plus better, and then another handful that are a TD or plus worse. And one of the things we like to do first thing in the season is to try to identify those teams. But any game that doesn't fall into those categories, bad teams I can fade again and again, teams that are priced wrong on the upside, teams that are priced wrong on the downside, whatever opinion I have, whatever bet I'm going to make is going to be relatively small. The one thing we do have for week 1, we have history. And Lawrence and I just had an interesting discussion about history. Recent history matters. How coaches approach game 1s. Are they ready? What role do we want them in? Do we want them in a chalk roll? Do we want them in a dog roll? That's the type of thing for me that I pay a lot of attention to for week one in college football. But really, for week one, this is not a balls to the wall weekend for this bettor in college football action. I take it easy. I'm not pulling a bankroll buster in week one. You shouldn't either. Now, I'm not saying we're not going to be in action. We could have half a dozen games this weekend. But this is not a pepper the board kind of weekend, especially if you haven't been making bets all summer. That's my 2 cents, Lawrence. Back to you, my friend.
Teddy covers. Let's keep it moving. Dave Mason joining us later on. That's going to be an incredible segment, so stay with us all the way to the end. But right now, we got the great, the wonderful, the most awesomest Ralph Michaels ever. Ralph, I know how excited you must be for college football. It is one of your favorite sports. It is about to go off big today. Welcome to the show.
Teddy, I was just looking at my power ratings from last year. I have about 12 teams that I dropped by 10 points, and I have 4 teams that I raised by 10 points. So pretty much within your parameter there. So welcome, guys. I am so very excited. If you guys haven't caught the Gold Sheet Top 25 videos I've done, I am so happy with the way they turned out. Make sure you check them out.
Absolutely, and you can find them at WagerTalk TV. And if you want to know when these new videos go up live, subscribe to our channel, hit that bell, and you will get all that information. Teddy's doing a ton of solo videos as well, and so am I starting next week. Ralph, you look fit, healthy, happy, and raring to go, so let's start right off the bat. You want to discuss FCS teams with lines higher than 27 and totals lower than 55. That's a very specific area. So I'm just going to shut up and let you go.
Well, Prez, since we're talking FCS teams, this is actually a pretty big sample size. And you look, guys, back when Appalachian State beat Michigan as a 1AA team, we only had a few lines on FCS teams. If you look at the live Wager Talk odds page, wt.buzz/odds is the shortcut. You will see there are 19 FBS versus FCS games tonight. Every one of them has a line and a total except from one casino. And by the way, there are 38 FBS versus FCS teams. There's a lot of times, this could have been a chart, guys, but I didn't make a chart for this. When you look at a team that is laying 27 points or more with a relatively low total, a total of 55 or less, the thought process would be if that team's going to score enough points to get close to covering, the game is likely to go over. So how about this, Prez and Teddy? I don't think I've ever talked an FCS angle here on this show or any college football show, but someone reached out to me and said, hey, is there any relative FCS data? I went back to 2009. And if you have an FBS team that's a favorite of 27 points or more with a total of 55 or less, those teams, get ready, write this down, guys, 134 overs and 63 unders. That is 68% to the over. And does it make sense? Yes. Teddy talked about how you have game one and you want to win. You're impressing your home fans. If you're playing an FCS team, you are likely to be at home. You are a huge favorite of 4 touchdowns or more. The total is relatively low. And when I looked at a team that also has a road dog game on deck, those teams have gone over the total 76.1%. So if you're an FCS versus FBS fan, take a look at those 59 games this week. There are about a dozen of them where a team is a favorite of 4 touchdowns or more with a low total. The one that sticks out to me that I would like to share with you is actually Iowa State against North Dakota. The total is 51.5. North Dakota only returns 3 starters on defense. The Fighting Hawks put up 18 points, and their game totaled 60 points against Boise last year. They put up 17 points at Nebraska 2 years ago. The points totaled 55. I like Beck as a young quarterback. He really progressed through the year. Iowa State returns all 11 starters. And when Matt Campbell is a favorite of 7 or more with a total of 61 or less since 2019, he has gone 13-6 over under 68.4%. So the situation says play on the over with an FCS foe, 27 points or more and a low total. My specific best bet for the show on Saturday, Iowa State and North Dakota over 51.5.
Now, it's definitely worth noting you're not going to be able to parlay these. It's not about playing the favorite with the over. What Ralph is saying, and of course, that'd be correlated when you have a total of 27 or a point spread of 27 or higher and a total of 55 or lower. Books are not going to let you put those two together. That being said, what Ralph is saying very clearly is look at the high point spread, low total games, FCS versus FBS, and take a look at those overs, which have cashed at an extraordinary clip dating back to 2009. Strong info, Ralph. Absolutely. Let's talk about Penn State. And this has been a popular team.
One more.
Yes.
One more point. My apologies. Just FYI, of those games, 99 ATS wins, 96 ATS losses. So it's only 50.8% for those FBS teams. So we don't even want to put a parlay thought correlation in there, even though you can't do it.
Well, you'd love to because you got 70% over. So you can parlay that with anything you can, in theory. So if you have but in this instance, you're not going to get more any higher expectation from playing favorite versus dog in that one. Let's talk about the Penn State Nittany Lions, a team that anyone I talk to, say what team benefits most from the playoffs going from 4 teams to 12 teams. Penn State is the one team everybody's talking about them as being the team that's going to benefit the most from this. Agree or disagree?
I agree. This has been my largest futures bet I've had. I've actually bet this twice, and I'm thinking about betting it again. I have never bet a future bet this high. And I think the markets just don't know how to respond with the 12 teams. And you look, with the SEC and the Big Ten, there is no way 3 Big Ten teams aren't making it. There is no way at least 3 or 4 SEC teams aren't making the 12-game playoff. You look at Penn State's schedule. Yes, they have semi-tough game opening at West Virginia, but the only other game that they are going to be less than a favorite of a touchdown is when they host Ohio State. They're a 2-point dog currently. So if they lose one game, they're in the playoffs. If they happen to lose at West Virginia as a 9-point favorite or at USC as a touchdown favorite with 2 losses, they are still going to make the playoffs. This team is loaded. I love the coaching change. They got rid of their OC. They brought in an OC, Allard, another experienced quarterback. The only major negative Penn State has is that they lost 3 offensive linemen to the NFL. So you have to replace 3 linemen. That's one thing. You have to replace 3 NFL linemen. That is significantly more. Now, they still have a lot of depth. They had a lot of backup start a few games here or there. But Penn State minus 140 to me is a situation I brought up on the Gold Sheet video. And since I bet it again, and I do want to bring up this one point. Many new bettors or people that may not think about betting futures because they don't want to lay their bankroll out early, they look at futures in June and all of a sudden they say, okay, I'm done. And they stop looking at the future market. Guys, this future market has changed a ton in June, in July. Yep. And now we get to August where you may have had a future bet that wasn't what you wanted, but you have to recheck them now when the season's starting to see if they got steam the other way. So make sure you do your due diligence, check all those futures that you liked, see if the lines have reverted back to where you think there's value, and don't pass up those late summer futures that still can give you quite a bit of value.
Ralph Michaels, Ralph, we got to keep going, man. You've got a chart for us. Let's get straight into it. And then feel free to promote as well what you got going for the clients.
Guys, it's a simple chart. What happens game number 1 if you have an AP top 15 team on deck? Do you look ahead? Are you playing an FCS foe laying a big number? Well, let's take a look. It looks pretty good, guys. Teddy, you don't know how strong your statement was when it doesn't really matter who you have on deck in game number 1. It is your home opener. You're excited. You want to win that game. In game number 1 since 2007, if you have a top 15 AP team on deck, you have covered 57.2%. If you're a home favorite with an AP top 15 on deck, you have covered 61%. You see, the only negative there is if you're an away favorite week 1, they have only gone 7-11 against the spread, 38.9%. So teams this week that currently have an AP top 15 on deck: Michigan, Middle Tennessee, Baylor, South Florida, Northern Illinois, App State, Texas, Purdue, Bowling Green, and NC State. Let's see how those home favorites do if they live up to that 61.4% home favorite role with that game on deck. Again, I'm excited, guys. I have 3 futures loaded. I have 3 week 1 plays open. I have a Friday college football play open. NFL and college football, just $7.99, or take advantage of the buy 2 weeks, get 1 free. And I am certainly ready for some football.
Ralph, just real quick, you use top 15 teams there. Why not top 10, top 20? I'm curious why you picked top 15.
Top 10 were actually stronger, Teddy. But, with the top, when I got to the top 20s, it was pretty much even. And to me, when you look at those top 20, 21, 22, 23, and those extra votes, I think it's more important. I think teams do give they do put more importance in maybe a top 10 team. So the 15 worked in there. I did the divided 15. It's not a huge drop off, but it really does flatten out when you get to the top 20 or higher. So it was sort of me cherry picking. Top 10 would have been just as good, but top 15 with this group of games was the same number. So I shared that data.
Ralph Michaels, awesome stuff, dude. Can't thank you enough for joining us. Anything else quick? And we got to bring Dave Mason in.
Yeah, that was just my goodbye pen. My apologies.
Awesome stuff. Teddy, we're going to save your big game breakdown to the end of the show. We got Dave Mason with us from BetOnline. Incredible information about to hit the airways. Guys, please, if you don't mind taking a second out of your day and hitting that like button, it would be greatly appreciated. We need it. We're all a team. We do this together. Dave Mason, how are you, my friend? Are you as excited as the rest of us? College football, 700 million games right in front of us. It goes all weekend.
5 days, man. 5 days of college football by my count, right? Oh, man, I love it. Love it. And that just means NFL starts next week, so the busy season is here. And, yeah, two most important weeks of the year, as far as I'm concerned, kick off the college football and kick off the NFL, because that kind of dictates how the rest of your season is going to go.
Dave, let's get right into tonight's card. What are you seeing out there as far as bets from people that that you guys respect that we should know about? And is there anything Dave Mason likes?
Let's see here. What do we got here tonight? UNC, you got a little bit of sharp on UNC -1, under 51, over 48.5. Jacksonville State -2.5 or better. Plus Coastal Carolina as well, +3.5 or better. Under 56 on that one. I really don't like too much anything, to tell you the truth. I kind of tail some of the sharp action here and there, but nothing I'm really digging into.
So relatively light for tonight. Before we get into Saturday's card and all the TV games this week and all of that, I want to ask how the last week was. How'd you guys do with those? What do you have? 4 games. There were 2, FBS versus FBS games, and then 2 FBS versus FCS games. How'd you guys make out with those opening games in college football, and how was your final week of the NFL preseason? Win, lose?
Yeah, I mean, the NFL preseason was choppy. as far as college football, very good start to the season. The Nevada did us well. Georgia Tech with the upset that knocked out. That was a good game too. Especially we lost a little bit on the spread, but we won good on the money line and money line parlays. You know, a lot of people liked hooking up a lot of those favorites, and so Florida State was a very popular money line parlay selection. So that knocked out a ton of money line parlays.
So good opening week in college football.
Yep.
You talked about the money today coming for North Carolina, and that was two-way action on that Coastal Carolina Jacksonville State, right? They were taking Coastal at plus 3.5. They were laying Jacksonville State at 2.5. Did I get that correct?
No, without kind of sharp stuff. As far as who we need North. As of now, I mean, there's still so much action to come in. I mean, most of the action comes in late, but as of now, from the public standpoint, we need UNC and we need Coastal Carolina. So this is the sharp stuff with some UNC -1 under 51, over 48.5, then Jacksonville State -2.5 or better, plus Coastal Carolina plus 3.5 or better, and under 56.
So you said most of the action comes in late. How much more action, because these games have been up all summer. Have you taken half the action you expect to take on these games? A quarter, a third? Are we really, it's like the last 2 hours before kickoff and that's where everything comes in? Even with games that have been sitting all summer?
I'd say, looking at this action now, I'd approximate probably about 70% of the actions yet to come in on these games tonight. Yeah,
Wow.
People bet late. The only people are betting early are guys is sharps, and even the sharps have to hold off because the limits aren't as high. But we'll take some sharp action. We'll take some guys looking at value, but most people are just betting late. Even week of, even when we open up the numbers for next week's, the following week's NFL games on Sunday, you'll take that first bevy of action, then it's slow throughout the week, then it picks up, and game days is absolutely insane. It's just most people aren't looking for value, and we have great value because we originate a lot of this stuff, a lot of the North American sports. Our odds hit the boards first, but I'm always amazed how so few people really pay attention to that and really bet early. And we're not talking months down early. We're talking 6 days early. People are 7 days early, and people just still wait till the number's settled. You're not going to beat the closing number long term. No one's going to beat that closing number long term, but you can beat the early number long term. But that being said, 90% of the people just ignore that.
Dave Mason, BetOnline AG, breaking down the world of college football betting, breaking down the global betting markets in a way that we see different action than what we see here in the U.S., here in Nevada in particular. Well, let's talk Friday. 4 TV games for tomorrow night. We have Temple, Oklahoma, TCU, Stanford, Western Michigan, Wisconsin, FAU, Michigan State. Those 4 games. We had the Michigan State quarterback saying take the over, but there's debate as to whether they should take the over 4.5 wins or take the over 45 points in the ball game. What are you guys seeing down in Costa Rica when it comes to these 4 matchups, all on TV tomorrow night?
Yeah, as far as Temple, Oklahoma, the action's pretty choppy there. It's no big decision. The volume's low on that. I mean, a 42-point spread. The higher those spreads, the less action you're going to get. So yeah, it's kind of 50-50. 53% of cash is on Temple, but 57% of the bettors are on Oklahoma. Some sharp on Sooners, -39.5 and under 58. What else we got? TCU, Stanford, 60% of the cash and 59% of the bettors are on Stanford. A little bit of sharp under 61.5. What other games you got? Was it Western Michigan? Yeah, Western Michigan, Wisconsin. A little bit. Action's pretty split there. Nothing too sharp as of yet. A little bit on Wisconsin, yeah.
Dave Mason joining us, everyone. Lucky to have you with us, Dave. Every Thursday in this spot, we're going to hear from Dave Mason from BetOnline. Dave, let's look at the 2 big matchups for Sunday and Monday. We've got USC against LSU. Teddy took that game apart yesterday or the day before in his big game breakdown. And, of course, We have Florida State after a dismal performance last week against Boston College. Where's the money going in this game, and do you have any particular opinion in these games?
Right. As far as Notre Dame, Texas A&M, or no, USC at LSU Sunday. As of now, we're big LSU fans. I mean, a ton of action yet to come in, like I said, but as of now, we do need LSU. 70% of the cash, 57% of the bettors are on USC. Some sharps took USC at +6.5. Personally, I like USC as well. Not by a ton, but I think that 4.5 is just too late. Like I said, you get that +6.5, you're happy. Now +4.5, not so much. BC FSU Monday Night Football, 59% of the cash, 53% of the bettors on BC. Nothing sharp as of yet, so not a lot of action on. There's so many. A lot of people just place the bets on tonight's games. They win. They bet tomorrow night's games or tomorrow's games, and so on and so forth. It's kind of rolling it over. So there is some action, but not a ton yet on the Monday night game.
Dave, I want to ask you this, and I don't even know if you have an answer for me, but I want to ask it anyway. When we see the concept of the fade the public in the NFL, sometimes that'll work. You can find these single event TV games and the public's all on this game. You bet the other side. That's a reasonable analysis. Does fading the public work in college football? Have you seen it work over the years, or is it really not just a complete non-factor?
I don't think so. I mean, I have no stats. I'm just going on memory and everything. I mean, we lose.
Yeah.
Sometimes I tweet out splits, and people are like, "Oh, that shows me what side I'm betting." House never loses. I'm like, yeah, right. We lose a ton. It's just when we win a little bit more, or when we lose a little bit less because of the juice. At the end of the day, it's about getting the best number. I mean, it's just if you're not getting the best number, you're not going to win long term. Again, that key word there, long term. So I would never just blindly fade the public. I don't care what the sport is. Still got to get that best number, and or else you're not beating anything.
Yeah, Teddy, that's such a great question too. We should actually remember to ask Art that question. I think you and I and a lot of the handicappers that come on here do pay attention to where the public is betting in NFL specifically. But you're right. Yep. We don't really talk about that on a college football level. And it would be interesting to delve into that deeper. Yeah, great question, Teddy. I just wanted to interrupt to give you some patting, if you will. Dave, anything on the U.S. Open? I know Teddy doesn't give a shit, but it is a highly bet sport. Actually, volume-wise, one of the biggest, most bet sports on the planet. And clearly we have a major going on right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with Teddy there. I don't pay much attention to it. U.S. Open, too, it's like always one of those things. I mean, the other majors are like kind of during the slow season, right? When we feature.
Yeah.
But like U.S. Open hits like at kickoff. And it's like, I'll be turning on ESPN like at night. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. The U.S. Open's on now. I don't pay any attention to it at all. The action is good, but, it won't be as good as it is on the other the other majors, just because the other Grand Slams, because they're during slow season when they're there's not as much to bet on. So I'm looking at the action here. Action seems good, but all eyes are on the football right now, including mine. I'm not the biggest tennis guy as it is, man. So admittedly, if you're looking for me to give you any kind of interesting takes on tennis, you got the wrong guy.
Yeah, take the under on Dave Mason's tennis breakdowns.
Yeah, right.
That being said, before we let you go, if you look on the screen, you see that the picture that we have of you on the screen is a picture of Trump and Kamala. Talk about the odds.
All right.
What have we seen in terms of odds movements over the last week or two?
Yeah, it's been stagnant, Teddy. We're still at Kamala Harris minus 120. Take back there on Trump is even money, so it hasn't moved that much. I mean, we're taking a lot more action on Harris. I'd say since the DNC, probably about last I looked, about 80% of the cash that came in was on Harris, and I haven't run that report in a few days, but just from an eye check here and just seeing bets come in and everything, it's got to be right there, plus or minus 5% either way. So yeah, as of we still need Trump from a rooting standpoint.
Yeah.
It's definitely an interesting market, and there's definitely so much cash in. We haven't taken any really big bets in the last few days either. It's kind of been stagnant at minus 120, plus 100. So, but the action's coming in, just not those big 5-figure bets at the last few days.
Dave, I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your day to join us, for doing this. It's so appreciative. What do you have to promote?
Yeah, BetOnline.ag. Come on over for the football season. I think I mentioned last week, but we have a $300,000 Survivor contest. We're definitely going to get over that $300,000. So once we get over $300,000, there's no rake. So we just keep adding on. I think last year it was $421,000. We also have a $200,000 handicapping contest that's free to enter. You just have to send some action our way for pride to qualify for the prizes. And of course, like I mentioned earlier, we originate a lot of this North American, a lot of the football odds. Our odds hit the screen first. High limits, rebet. We take sharp action, public action, everybody in between. Come on over to betonline.ag.
Boom! That was a freaking Steve Merrill mic drop. Well done, Dave Mason.
Yeah.
Well
yes,
done. Okay, my friend, we'll see you next Thursday, same time. Thanks for joining us. Teddy Lawrence.
Guys. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Dave. Teddy Lawrence Brown logs in. He's in Saudi Arabia. He says we are the best damn wager show on the planet, and he's looking forward to buying your package and my package. And I want to shout you out, Lawrence Brown. Thank you for that. Kind words. Really appreciate it. What the hell were your parents thinking, bro? Can you get in your head the insanity of a parent naming their child Lawrence? Of all the names in the entire world, I just, it's shocking to me that any human being on the planet would name their kid Lawrence. What a piece of crap first name. Sorry, brother. Teddy covers. We do have time for your big game breakdown, so go!
So we talk about bet on coaches for week 1 of the NFL season, and there's one name that stands out to me. What's his name? John Harbaugh. That's what his name is. The results don't lie. All right. The Ravens covered minus 9.5 versus a playoff-bound Houston team in week 1 last year. They beat the Jets by 15 in 2022. In fact, dating back to 2016, Baltimore, 7-1 straight up, 7-1 against the spread in week 1. And all 7 teams they beat were held to 10 points or less. 6 of those 7 wins came by 15 points or more. Blowouts. It's worth talking about the only loss during that span. That was in 2021, I should say, on Monday Night Football in the very first night with fans at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas after the pandemic. And Baltimore led that game twice in the fourth quarter by a touchdown, and they fumbled the ball away in overtime. My point is, no shame in that. They were prepared. Everybody was prepared for that game as they've been for all the other openers in the recent John Harbaugh era. It's worth noting Harbaugh was an underdog as well, excluding the resting starters in the regular season finale games. Harbaugh catching points 3-0 against the spread last year, including outright upsets at San Fran and at Cincinnati. I've got him at 17-4 against the spread as an underdog or pick'em since 2018. That's a strong track record for a coach and a team in spots like this one. Andy Reid, we know how good the Chiefs are. They won the Super Bowl last year. They won the Super Bowl the year before that. Their season is not make or break in September, right? They lost straight up as favorites on opening day to Detroit last year. They opened the season 2-4 ATS in 2022. They opened the season 0-3 ATS in 2021. It's not about hot starts for a team that expects to be playing in January and February. 2-time defending champs. And this has been a hotly contested series. It's 5-5 straight up the last 10 meetings, and the underdog has been the way to bet these. 5-0 against the spread the last 5 tried. Every meeting between Harbaugh and Reid since 2008 has been an underdog cash. including the underdog Chiefs winning straight up in Baltimore last January on their way to the Super Bowl. So we got playoff revenge in game one. Count me in at +3. I'm interested in the Baltimore side in this one. In fact, I'm so interested, I bet it, and I advise my clients to do the same client play for you right here. Baltimore plus the points in Kansas City on opening night. There's your big game breakdown. Back to you, Mr. Prez.
Teddy, where do you think that line will end up? There are 2.5s on the board currently. Do you feel like if you're going to take Baltimore, you need to do it right now?
Not right now, this minute. I would expect this line to close right where it is, 2.75. There will be 2.5s. There will be 3s. Someone might take all the 3s out. I don't think you're going to get a lot better than the +3 -120 you can find right now. If you like Baltimore, I'd bet that sooner rather than later.
Guys, I want to point out a couple of quick things. We'll start with Teddy. Teddy just gave you a client play. That's a play he's selling at WagerTalk Baltimore plus the 3. Teddy's September of NFL betting is as good as it gets in any sport from any handicapper anywhere on the planet. Although he annoys me on a regular basis, like daily, if I were to purchase any, we have that buy 2 weeks, get the third week free, or if I'm to purchase anybody's single month of NFL betting, it would be Teddy's NFL in the month of September. So take that play very seriously. Next, Tony Mejia. He's the $2 handicapper over at Sports Memo. I forgot to mention it. He's got a 5% college football bet going, and he is on a 10-3 run right now. You can get that play over at Sports Memo for only $2. And guys, I've had a dreadful 3 months of baseball betting. I am going to have a monster run, especially in football. I've got a college football total up tonight. I was profitable last year in my college football totals. I absolutely love this play. Head over to WagerTalk and grab that. Theodore, my brother, tomorrow we've got Andy Lang, we've got Brian Power, and Gianni the Greek joining us. Will be an awesome show. Take us home.
Sure, today was an awesome show as well. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to hang out with us. Please give us a like, give us a follow, and we appreciate all the comments that's in the YouTube channel below. Enjoy the games. Enjoy the opening night of college football season. Well, we had it already. You know what I mean. We'll be back again tomorrow. Same time, same channel. Cheers.